Yesterday for Christmas Day, the Phasmophobia development team decided to drop a content preview on what Phasmophobia ghost hunters can expect in early 2025. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So here we have it. This is the Phasmophobia development preview that was dropped yesterday. The name of the upcoming update has been redacted, so we won't know it until it actually releases or it gets closer to the exact date. But we can go ahead and talk about the contents that are going to be inside that update, and I'm going to be talking about contents of future minor updates that are going to be coming in the future as well, based on the information provided to us in their Trello. First and foremost here, it mentions that the Phasmophobia journal is going to be getting a bit of a facelift, and they're specifically talking about the area here where it says media. Currently inside of your journal, it's an area for photos, but in the future, it's going to be an area for both photos and video evidence to prove that paranormal entities do exist. That means that you're going to be able to get a couple pages of photographs and a couple pages of video evidence of things happening on your video camera to be able to award you more experience and money for that particular round. Now, I want to go ahead and point out that they do mention that these values for these photographs is currently just a template. It is not the exact value that it's going to be. It is specifically going to be a reference point, and they're going to be increasing them when the patch goes live. What I'm able to make a quick point out here that if you notice here, one of them says unique and the rest of them say duplicates. What is the reason for that? Currently, one of the easiest ways in Phasmophobia to fill up your journal is to get photos of the same thing over and over again. The best example I could possibly provide for that would be to fill up your journal with salt photos. You have one of your players go ahead and take a bunch of salt photos when the ghost steps through it. You have another player go ahead and take a bunch of salt photos. After you get the photo of a ghost entity or the bone, you have a filled journal. So when you go ahead and do this going forward, you're going to have a lot of money from the unique one. The unique one's going to give you a lot of money in XP. But every photo you take after that of duplicated photos of the same thing, it's going to give you significantly less money than the original one did. And this is to try to encourage players to go ahead and try to take several different types of photos to get the most money possible out of their gameplay. And here it says specifically here, note above values or placeholders only. Interactions have been moved to video recordings and are only just being used as a demonstration. So all the values that you see up here of the $1, $5, it's just a placeholder. Do not take them at face value at this time. For examples of video camera evidence that you could possibly get in the game, it does mention things like closing doors, apparitions on dots, and things like being able to go ahead and see the Ouija board move in real time. So anything that if you can have a video camera capturing those things in real time, you will be able to have videographed evidence of media that paranormal entities exist. And I think that's really cool because it could potentially give a job to somebody inside of your lobby, somebody in your group, where they could be the vlogger, the person holding the camera, the person waiting to see things happen in real time. And I think that kind of dynamic adds a very interesting aspect to the game. Next up in the preview, we have the sound recorders. The sound recorders has been teased on their Trello and through other aspects of the community for a very long time now. The real thing we don't understand is the sound recorder going to be a piece of evidence like EMF reading freezing temperatures or dots projectors, or is it going to be something specifically for an optional objective like the parabolic microphone? Now, what you're seeing here in this previewed image is you have tier 1 on the left-hand side and you have tier 2 on the right-hand side. The one on the very right-hand side has been redacted. They're going to be saving that for later on. Possibly the model is not done yet, or possibly they just want to keep it a secret to keep you super hyped for what it's going to be. But the way that it's going to work is a character is going to hold this sound recorder in their main hand, and when you're in an area of a potential recording, it's going to start blinking. Then you go ahead and hold it in your hand, start the recording when it's in the blinked area to let you know that there is some sort of sound the sound recorder can pick up that you as a player cannot hear with your own ear, and you're going to go ahead and record some sort of message from the ghost to get that optional objective done, or possibly get a specific response from a certain ghost type that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. I'll give you an example. Think about the Diogen. The Diogen has a specific spirit box response that only the Diogen can get. Think about the parabolic microphone, a specific response that only the Banshee can give you. What if they add a specific response to some other ghost type in the sound recorder to be able to have you test that ghost type and no evidence runs? I particularly would be super excited about that type of. I specifically would be very excited for that specific additive to gameplay because I think it adds a nice little layer to ghost lore. One highlight I want to be able to point out here that it does mention inside the preview is it says once recorded, it'll even be replayable in your journal. That means that if you want to hear what the ghost said on the recorder, you don't need the recorder inside of your inventory to go ahead and hear it. Everybody can hear it from their journal, so that way you don't have to pass around the recorder to hear that specific little recording of paranormal sounds. And I think that's great for accessibility across multiple players in one lobby. Next up in the preview, we're talking about the Farmhouse Reworks, something we've been expecting and waiting for many months in Phasmophobia now. It's been a long time since they teased the farmhouses were getting a rework, Bleasdale and Grafton, and we know for sure now, based on some of the images we have here, that Bleasdale will be a very high-class, upscale cabin, whereas Grafton is going to be a rundown, abandoned cabin that is basically falling apart. So if you can see here in the Bleasdale photos, we have the dining room. Super, super cool. Looks like a very high-end dining room. In fact, it looks like the dining room has gotten bigger. If we scroll down a little bit more, we're going to be able to see the living room. Gives some very cozy Point Hope vibes almost. You can see a lot of wooden tones. We have the fireplace is going to be lightable. Currently inside the farmhouses, the fireplace is not interactable, so that'll be very fun and exciting, and a lot of cool decor that they are going to add to this map to make it look more happening. Now, if you go down here, we have the tea room. There's going to be a tea room here with double doors. We have a lot of stuff and a lot of plates on the wall. Some very cool furniture going on here. I can only imagine that all this stuff on the wall is going to be interactable, and this room could be a poltergeist's dream where everything's going to get thrown off the wall and kind of scatter all over the place. I cannot wait for that to happen in real gameplay. Scrolling down a little bit more, we got the trophy room, one of the rooms that is going to be upstairs. I don't exactly know where this is located, and you can see here that there's a hallway upstairs, and there's another room across the hallway that leads into the master bedroom. So truly, it seems like they're taking the format of Bleasdale and Grafton, and they're probably going to be redoing it completely to maybe even to a point where you don't even recognize the layout anymore. So personally, I love Grafton. It's one of my favorite maps in Phasmophobia. The idea that Grafton is going to be turned into a old map that is basically abandoned but have paranormal vibes in it is actually kind of exciting to me, because there is no other map in Phasmophobia that exists like that, but that kind of map type exists in many other paranormal games out there in the genre in itself. Speaking of Grafton Farmhouse, there is one previewed image they have for Grafton so far. It is right here. It looks like they have like one interesting doorway that was kind of boarded off that's kind of open. And I don't even know what these are over here, possibly chicken coops or something, but definitely you can tell that you can see trees on the outside. Grafton is in a bad state. Maybe this is even an exterior shed. Maybe it's an exterior shed you can go into for some reason. I would love to see them add Easter eggs to these maps about different Phasmophobia lore, because we've gotten a glimpse into Phasmophobia lore before we transitioned to the old asylum to the new asylum. If they could add lore into the farmhouses, that would be incredible for the game. Now, that is specifically it for the current early 2025 development preview for what you expect in the earlier stages of 2025. But I want to quickly turn your attention to the Trello board so you know what to expect from Phasmophobia from 2025 in later stages of it. So if anybody here has never seen Trello before, Trello is a project management site that allows developers or coders in general to be able to keep track of current projects they have or future projects they have and projects they've already completed. So all the stuff here in the release column is stuff that's already occurred. Top foremost, holiday 2024, done, over with. Now, if you go on over to the internal testing, this is stuff they are currently working on right now in their beta branch, and they're going to be bringing it to you very quickly. So honestly, you could probably expect this internal testing stuff to be released with the update that's going to be following the end of the 2024 holiday update. So when the holiday update's over, I almost guarantee that this stuff is going to be inside of it. Now, if you look at what's going on in progress, this is stuff they're currently developing, currently designing, currently working on. Bleasdale Farmhouse, Grafton Farmhouse, Photo Rework, sound recorder equipment, and platform agnostic voice recognition. All four of these things we just talked about in the development preview. This thing in the bottom here is something that console players are desperately asking for that you can expect relatively soon. Voice recognition on Xbox and PlayStation. So that is being worked on. If you click on inside of it, it'll give you a little bit more information about who's currently working on it and what the description is and when you can possibly expect it. Things that are coming up in their concept phase is obviously the Easter 2025 update. I know some people were very, very happy with the Halloween update. Some people were very, very happy or displeased with the holiday update for Krampus. If all that feedback you have given to them will be going into the Easter 2025 update, they're going to be making those improvements to the community goals and the community goal concept for events with the Easter 2025 update. So if you've given any feedback or plan on giving any feedback, you can expect that to be here in the Easter update upcoming this year. Another thing to go ahead and highlight here is that a new map is being worked on currently by CJ and some of the developers and some of the other artists to be able to go ahead and design that specific map. So new maps are indeed inside of the works for Phasmophobia. You can guarantee that in the upcoming year. Another thing we can go ahead and look forward to is new character models. New character models are something they've been talking about in Phasmophobia for a long time. Cosmetics, outfits, different miscellaneous things you can go ahead and put on your characters and to go ahead and make them look more like you. They're not going to be base character models that just look like random people. So this is something that's very exciting and I'm particularly looking forward to because, to be honest, none of the characters have appeared. And then we have stuff for Beyond later on in 2024, maybe Q3, maybe Q4, maybe even into 2026. We have the objectives rework, brand new objectives coming to Phasmophobia. I know one of the biggest things they're looking forward to, for myself included, is the Horror 2.0 update, where they're going to be making Phasmophobia scarier and fresher for when they actually go live with their 1.0 update. Because if you did not know, Phasmophobia is still an early access game that is being worked on actively. So when you look in here, they're going to be doing new ghost events. They're going to be adding hallucinations, new death rooms, new death animations, sound overhaul and additions, because let's face it, the sound that creates the atmosphere of a horror game is super important. And new ghost models that allow you to go ahead and get scared when you see them coming at you during a hunt. Outside of that, we got CCTV reworks, so you can go ahead and have more use cases for different cameras inside of locations, and obviously an engine upgrade from up to the new and brand new and improved Unity 6 engine, allowing them to do better lighting and better overall shading in graphical settings. Without a doubt, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming to Phasmophobia, and I particularly cannot wait to share with every single one of you, fellow ghost hunters out there, as we get crispy together with these ghosties. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to let me know what you're most excited about down in the comments below. I'd love to be able to talk to you. Have a great rest of your holiday season. And until I see you next time, stay crispy.